During this committee. Notice of this meeting was properly posted on August 18th, 2025. For purposes of agenda, action means any of the following: amending, approving as amended, deferring, denying, giving instructions to staff, making a recommendation to another public body, receiving documents or presentations, referring to committee, reconsidering, reopening, returning, or striking the item. Cassie, do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir.
Do we have to do a roll call?
Yes, please.
Let's do a roll call or vote or something.
Steve Cooper.
Here.
Heather Gardner.
Here.
Javier Nira.
Present.
Sandino Thompson. Joanne Davis. Here. Mike Mize.
Here.
Steve Mason.
Here. I did the notice of the meeting. We did the action discussion. I think we're ready to go to item 1, discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of July 29, 2025. Thoughts?
I move to approve the minutes. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Cassie, do we pass it?
If you'll push your buttons for me, please.
Thank you all. Item 2, recurring items. Discussion and possible action regarding the planning, design, management, and construction of the new Oklahoma County Adult Detention Center and Behavioral Care Center. Mr. Trumbo.
Yes, not that much has changed since 30 days ago, but the new numbers are there. I did lower the anticipated interest. I was probably a little aggressive on it earlier. Now maybe a little bit the other way, but we're still sitting on about $216 million with the sold bonds and interest that could go to construction.
Questions, comments from the committee or the public? If not, we'll go to item 3, departmental items. Discussion and possible action to receive an update regarding the RFP for behavioral care operator services and determine board involvement with recommendations. Stacy.
Yes, our third and final expert has now reviewed that document, and those changes that she suggested will be made this week, and that will hit the street next week. It's going to be my guess, and maybe some of you will be on that.
Questions, comments? All right. Anything from the public? If not, we'll move to item 4, discussion and possible action regarding new jail bond funds and potential spending options and recommendations.
As we talked last time you saw this drawing, you guys had a lot of leftover questions. The blue on the bottom there is the BCC that's under construction. We've got a box off to the lower right that is earthwork, retention walls, off-site utilities, fencing, that sort of thing, that will take up the $10 million in bonds that I currently have available. And then when you add everything in red that we would propose to build in a phase 2 approach, that takes us to about $175 million total. And obviously we have a little bit more money than that, so we might consider G on the right, lower right of that, which is in green, which would give us close to, I think, 256 beds, minimum security, that we could probably afford to include in red as an option, maybe. That'll be up to the commissioners, but I think we could afford it. And then everything in green would be the future phase, which is all the housing and the public space in front, which is the courtrooms and the staff and so forth. So to help answer your questions from last meeting, HOK and Flightco's here make a small presentation for a few minutes. Maybe that'll answer your questions, and then we'll have a question and answer. But we did attach to your agenda how that would operate out there. It was like a 2-page, because you had a lot of questions about that. So we did put that document together. It explains exactly how that would operate in a phased approach. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to HOK to do their little presentation.
Thank you, Kes. Can you go back to the other drawing first, please? Yes, that one there. On the particular phase approach that Stacy's talking about here, what's in the red primarily are what we call the support spaces for the entire facility. The most critical in the nerve center really is the one on the bottom left side. That's the intake, booking, transfer, holding, and release areas that are all included in that. The intention is to open this up and build it and open it and then run intake, booking, and holding through there. And the support spaces next to it are both the kitchen and laundry. And you'll be able to shut down the kitchen and laundry at the existing jail and the intake or the booking at the existing. The area housing G, that's we're able to build that, which we think we can. That will support the areas there because that's where the trustees will be, and the trustees work in the kitchen and laundry. When people come into the Sally Port, before they go into intake and booking, when they first come in, that's where they get assessed, and we determine whether they go over to the behavioral care center or where they will go after that. The number of beds in the holding and transfer and release areas total somewhere around how many, Kurt, do you think?
About 248.
And so there's plenty of beds
Seats.
there. The reason, seats, and then places to hold them and control and manage them before they get taken back over to the existing jail housing. The intention of this is just an interim phase until the entire facility gets built. Since this site is funded and getting started sooner, the housing will follow behind it. But in the meantime, that's what can be done once this gets open. The cup is the most expensive. That's the central utility plant. That's on the very top left-hand side. So getting the cup and also the intake booking area, and they're done early on, it will be a big advantage to getting the facility open and processed. It'll also allow people to be trained on how to manage this new facility before you, instead of just opening the entire thing immediately. It's nice to have a progression type training for folks, because it's a pretty tall order to swallow. It's a massive facility. Logistics that are going to happen here are pretty complex. We're going to show that in a slide in a minute. Get a better understanding how these buildings operate. In case you're wondering, is this done anyplace else? Yes, I can tell you right now it's being done. It's done in El Paso, Texas, Houston, Texas, Pueblo, Colorado. Just up until recently, it was done in Kansas City, Indianapolis. It's also being done right now in Orlando, Miami, and Nashville, just to name a few. So this isn't an unheard of process where you have an intake center and you get everything set up, you hold the property, you get it properly stored, and then you take them over to housing. It's a pretty common practice around the country. It's not what was intended in this initially, but with the funding issues that we're having to address, this is a solution and to handle a phased approach into this to help resolve everything.
So am I understanding this correct, that phase 3, 101G, the bottom right box, is that becoming red and we build it now?
Yes, that's the intention.
So green becomes red.
That green, yeah. One point of clarification, and I understood this when you said it. I wanted to make sure everybody else did, though. Will you explain what a trustee is?
A trustee is an inmate who's been classified as low risk. They're the ones who are generally tasked to do chores at the facility. It can be laundry. It can sometimes it's even some facilities it's maintenance and delivering food, working in the kitchen. There's a lot of in-house labor that allows people to get out of their cells, and there are people who have actually earned the trust of the people who work there, and then they're allowed to go ahead and work inside the facility. It's considered a privilege, and It's also a good management tool because if they act up, they can lose that and they can head back upstairs and they don't get to be a trustee anymore. So it's a lower cost housing because it's not hardened. The area G there is actually a dormitory, and there's a lot of benefits to that. And to point out too, it's a whole nother issue, but from the county having gone from 2,800 people down to about 1770, the number of trustees you have actually reduced dramatically. The average around the country used to be 50% of the population in detention facilities was 50% low risk, 35 medium, and 15% high risk. Oklahoma County, and you're not different than most others right now, but you are now at right around 84 to 85%, all medium and max. You only have 15% low risk where you used to have 50. So it's kind of the dynamics of detention have had to change. So right now, you've got people. Well, most facilities have people that are low risk that are being housed in with medium and max, or medium and max people are actually being housed in low risk housing in a lot of facilities. So there's a lot of challenges, managing the population and the classification. You've got some really good people keeping the lid on some things over here because it's really not a building. It's really a building problem that you have here, and this is another way to approach it and smooth into your new facility. So,
Jeff, I don't know that you're the right person to answer this question, but if a significant portion of the trustees are housed here, how does that impact operations, the things you mentioned, laundry, delivering food, and those things at the current facility?
That will take place that will be shut down, and this over here would actually handle the laundry. There's going to be vans going back and forth, but it'll handle the laundry and the cooking in the kitchen and the operation of the kitchen. And they come back here. There will be a few here to handle delivery and such. So there's some coordination that'll have to take place and some training. They're already used to that here. They already do that here. So it's more training them over here than will be at the existing facility. The other thing too is the property storage over here is a nightmare. It's the worst I've ever seen in the country. And opening up a new property when they come in here at intake and booking, and you got a very functional, controlled, managed, because stuff gets lost at this other one. And people forget about their property, believe it or not. Some people do, and then it just kind of goes away. But in this new facility, it's a very well managed system. And we'll show you in detail in a few moments of how that property will, when people are going to get released, they'll be brought on a van back over here and held in the release area to be released from here and processed and deal with the new areas that we've created for you, and working with the different teams that we worked with here at Oklahoma County on the area we call the care area, the diversion folks who are helping out here. You'll see there's 3 different specific areas that are incorporated into your facility here for the future that other places around the country do not have and wish they had. Already you've got 12 significant nonprofits and other organizations that help with the inmate population here. We've met with all of them. We've actually created things they aren't even aware of yet that will be able to assist inmates here and help bring your population down somewhat. But also the whole goal is designed for 2 things. One, a more humanitarian environment, and then also more success upon release to reduce recidivism. The diversion facility that we did in Nashville, recidivism's come down now 61% of the people who've gone through their program. And those are what they call the frequent flyers. And those are very time consuming for the staff. They're very expensive. They take all the PD off the street. They take sheriff deputies off the street time and time and time again. So any area that we can improve on that is a huge help to have more of a law enforcement presence out on the street doing what they're there to do than having to deal with what I call challenging mental health issues week after week after week with the same people. So there's so many great benefits, and we'll bring up the next drawing, and then we can, Kurt, join me up here and we kind of talk about and elaborate what's unique about this and how this is going to work.
All right, so the drawing that you currently have on the screen shows to the right is the new intake booking center, all the different colors of space there. And to the left is the pinkish and the purple. That's your behavioral care center that's currently under construction. And so obviously a big part of this initial phase 2 will now be to build everything you see in brown and those colors that are all the different parts and pieces of this diversion process. So when someone's initially brought in, they're brought by law enforcement into the vehicle sally port, and that's up at the upper tan area there. That's where they're brought in. The doors go down. They're secured. And at that point, they will be taken into the light blue area. That's the intake assessment area. So they'll be brought into there, and that's where we will have nursing, medical, and behavioral health nursing that will do an assessment of everyone that's brought in. As they do that assessment, they'll figure out if this individual, what kind of shape they're in, physically, mentally, and then if they have committed a low-risk crime at this point, they will have the opportunity to go over into the behavioral care center, so over to the pink. So those individuals never go into your jail. So that's true diversion happening right here. They walk over and they go directly into the BCC, so they do never go into your jail facility. That's a huge savings for you, and really starts the process differently than what you currently do. If they are an individual that has committed a felony, higher risk type of crime, then they will continue and they'll move into what we call the booking area, and that's the deep purple surrounded by the tan, and that area is where they will get their photograph taken, get their fingerprints. They will be either seated in an open waiting area if they are an individual we can trust or feel good about just sitting down and waiting their turn, or they'll be put into one of the many cells that we have sitting around there. We have some group holding cells, single holding cells, and they will be in that area until they're called back up to the booking desk, where they will take more information from them and gather the data they need about the crime, about the person themselves, what their history is, and then once that's done, they'll go back and they'll sit down and they'll wait, and at that point, we'll have an opportunity for investigations to come over and get involved in the case. Classifications, folks will start looking at this individual and figuring out where they're going to go into into the jail. So they'll be looking at the existing building, your existing jail, and figuring out what cell unit they would be assigned to. And throughout that process, there'll be an opportunity for diversion folks, which is the green right above there. There you go. That the diversion folks will be able to come out and begin connecting with these individuals. Even though they're in the facility at this point in time, they have an opportunity to begin working with them much sooner than you currently have, and connecting them with the individuals that can help make a difference and help them get removed from this facility instead of spending too much time here. They also have an opportunity while they're waiting here to go through the arraignment process. Once that process is done, then they will go to change out, which is that small orange area. So at this point in time, they've been in here for several hours. So they will have been assigned to a spot in the jail facility. So they'll get an inmate uniform on, and then they'll be at that point, after they change out and they give their property over to the inmate property storage area, which is just above that green, the darker green over on the right. So that's the inmate property storage there. And so the inmate property will be put into that space and bagged, and then that individual will be led over to the transport, which is the big brown area towards the top. And we have a little over 100 holding seats there for people that will wait there until they're ready to go downtown and be transported to the downtown facility, where they'll go into the housing. So this is where they will go back into the Sally Port, into a bus or van that will take them down to the existing jail facility. The other part, if we are to if we are able to build area G, which is Jeff talked about the low risk dormitory housing, and there's also some double bunk cells there as well. If it's determined they will stay here, then they will just walk down the hall and go directly to that housing unit where they'll stay. That's the process, getting them to the existing jail. Now, let's say it's several months later, and the individual has served their time, they've done their court case, they're ready to be released. So they will be taken from the downtown jail back out here, and they will go into the release area, which is the light green, where they will over to the left, and that is where they will change out back into their street clothes. They'll get their inmate property, so they'll change back out into their own clothes. They'll stay there for a moment. They'll go to community services, which is the yellow, where these people will already know these individuals are being released. So they're prepared to work with them and help them connect to community services that you have here in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma County. So they will connect them as best they can with in medical care, housing, transportation, all the things that people need, and so that when they're released, then they have a place to go, or they'll know what their next steps are, and then they'll follow the release corridor down to the bottom, and they'll be released from the facility. That is the process that we've outlined, and I think we've seen that work very well in other locations across the country. When you have a divided, when you have jails in different locations, it's something that's done, as Jeff said, fairly regularly. So it's a process that we've outlined here, and that's what we'll do. Any questions on any of that?
We already designed this entire facility, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if you carve out this, is this the original design preserved, or does it require a redesign or modification of this from the documents that have been completed?
The layout, the functionality is all the same. It was all there. Now that we're breaking the building into parts, there are some changes to the documents. Of course, mechanical, electrical, the cup, where they're changing the orientation of that. So that we're coming into the building a different way with the piping, the plumbing, the electrical. So there are those changes, but the actual functional relationship and everything is already designed. And this will serve the full facility that's eventually built.
Kirk, thank you. Have you looked at how much efficiencies we're going to be able to realize over the existing processes that we're running at a deficient building? This is way, way better. It's a lot more space. People are not crammed in, waiting. The salad port's a great idea. It's great location. But if you looked at how much efficiencies we're going to be able to realize in terms of personnel that's required, and just the overall mood of the people, the detainees that are being brought into the facility.
There are a lot of efficiencies. And, every building, when it's new, people have to learn different processes as they move into it to learn how to work it. Your county's current detention officers that work in the existing booking area, intake booking area, they will all move out here. And this process will be done out here instead of downtown. In fact, when you look at the different operations personnel, that will be relocated. It includes those folks, the classification folks, diversion, the food service, the laundry. All those people are going to be coming out to this property now and do their job here. There are so many more places here for holding, for the booking process, for them to be able to streamline what they do. And, we envision it will be much more efficient for them. I think the big thing is to reduce the booking time, the booking process, and how much all that takes before someone can be released. And, this gives them the ability to be able to do that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to add a couple more things in regard to efficiencies. Some other things that are built into the new facility right now in your whole intake booking processing area. Everything runs through one hallway. You've got inmates that are being taken in and ones that are being released, crossing over, and it's a nightmare for operations. And right now, when they're having really staffing issues there too, it's an accident waiting to happen, and they've already happened, and so that'll be a big improvement. Another thing on the facilities that we design, a good example on changing inefficiencies too, just by the layout, facility layout and operationally. We finished San Mateo, California, not too long ago, and the year before they opened, they had 112 attacks of inmates on inmates or inmates on staff. The following year after they opened, they had 3. And that has to do with efficient and smart design. Another thing too, built into the housing units that you saw in the large green area, we did something unique there on the second floor of those. We call it the second floor, it's the mezzanine area. And we set it up to where management can be done at nighttime and reduce the number of people who need to work there in the facility. It's approximately a saving of 9. If you have a full facility and fully staffed the way it should be, you'll save, compared to what you're doing now, $9 million a year operationally, just from the way we did the design. So it's another really significant area of efficiency that, well, more reason why you need to get the green part built too, right? So I did want to bring that up. And I think I had one other point. Well, that's another challenge too that you're dealing with right now. We learned about yesterday is that the jails right now is going through a 31% turnover annually of staff. And anything you can do to improve the environment where these people are going to work, it's not the pay, it's the building and what they have to deal with. Last we checked, it was 54% female guarding the inmates, of which over about 80% are male. So there's a real significant change that you'll see here operationally, both in just this structure here on this part and then the entire thing when it's done. There's other efficiencies too, but those are the ones I wanted to highlight.
Jeff, one other quick thing. There's a BCC patients, or should that be patient?
Yes, they'd be classified as that.
It's not a patient, though. It's with a C. It's what it's spelled up there, not a T.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just trying to make sure there's not some new program we're trying to run on patients.
No, that's.
It's right underneath released holding, BCC patients entrance.
Oh, okay. And I apologize for that. Yeah, there's one other definition I wanted to share with you too up there. If you look on the print around the exterior there under behavioral care and the Justice Center, you'll see 3 areas there that are highlighted. Those are the areas that are unique and specific to Oklahoma County that you're going to have here. The very successful Davidson County, Nashville Behavioral Care Center, when I showed this plan to the director there, her statement was that this should be the new gold standard for the United States for detention centers and jails. She loved what she saw here and how this was set up and laid out. And working with the commissioners, on the bottom left-hand corner there, the area that's in the yellow over under the Justice Center, that's called the CARE diversion area, and that stands for Center for Assessment and Reentry. And that whole purpose of that, it's in the release area, is to improve their lifestyle and what happens to them once they get released. So there'll be community people staffing that, and that's where everybody's going to have to go through a complete check and balance system before they're released and get out there. So there's a lot of additional steps that are built into this overall operational system to improve the outcome of the people who end up incarcerated in Oklahoma County Jail.
So I had a couple of things. I think one is, I think it's probably pay and facility. As far as the existing detention center staff, I think they could also be better compensated. I just want the record to reflect. But I think the facility, it doesn't help to be poorly compensated going into a crappy facility for sure. as far as the turnover.
They work 12 to 14-hour shifts.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear about that a lot. So the other question though that I had is, can you walk through like what the release process looks like again? Because I think I heard most of it, but I want to make sure I understood the release process at the facility in this iteration. Like
Sure.
yeah. See where the release housing is, but what does that look like? Like where would people be picked up, emptied? I mean, what does that look like?
So they will be released if you look at that document, that drawing up there on the screen, it's how to explain this? At the bottom of the release corridor is right there. At the bottom is a drive. So they will go out of a door, and that's where the door is for them to be released. And
so if someone's being released and they got somebody waiting for them, they're released. I mean, as it shows, it's behind the security fence. So that's what I was just trying to make sure.
I see. Yes.
Yeah.
So there will be an opening in the gate to the left, where that word magistrate is, and that's where they would be able to get into a vehicle. Right. So the magistrate, we have a magistration room here as well. So there's a process there that someone would be able to be magistrated and released before going into the jail as well. So can be a video magistrate, or it's set up to have a judge come here as well. Either way, so it's very flexible, and it will be able to accommodate magistration here, so they can be released without going into the facility, if it's appropriate.
You may not have gotten to this, but the vacated space in the existing jail, is there something we can do with that to make it better in this interim while we wait till the whole thing's built, or have you gotten far enough to think about that?
We haven't really gotten into any detail on that. Quick discussions. Boy, it'd be nice to move the infirmary and medical off of the 13th floor down to the first floor in this space, but it would take a little bit of cleanup and stuff to do that, and we haven't really addressed that in any detail.
It would be great to tell a story about how this is good, but it also makes what we've got better until we don't need it anymore.
Yep.
Can we go back to that first drawing? That's the red and green drawing.
The Christmas drawing.
Yeah, and I have a request. Next time we see this, I don't know what U and V are. Can we put a name on those areas?
Sure.
I mean, that would help me a lot.
You mean phase one, phase?
No, it says like U. I have no idea what U is.
Okay. So
Can we just walk through U to V, blah, 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 to G, and give us the title of those sections?
So let's start at the left. What you see, V, A101V. And these are numbered because it's an enormous set of documents. So all these floor plans are broken out into these pieces, and so we have to number them some way to make sense of the bidding document. So that's why they have these letters. But V is the space that is the intake booking area. So the vehicle sally port, intake booking, magistrate, diversion, community services, inmate property, transport, all those things happen in that area that is area V. That's intake booking. Next to it is S, and area S is primarily the food service, the new kitchen. So that's where, there's a dock outside there. All the food will be able to come into on the right side of that. That is, there's food storage, a lot of cooler freezer space, and then all the cooking equipment. And this is where, we're going to operate the full kitchen and make all the jail food here. And then it'll be taken downtown. So it'll be a fully operational new commercial kitchen, which will be great. Get it out of the first floor of the jail where things travel down from the jail. So it's not great. Next to that is area L. And area L consists of the warehouse space and the laundry space. So this is your new building warehouse space where things that inmates use when they're housed here, toilet paper, extra uniforms, there's so many things that will be housed in this warehouse space. And then adjacent to that is the new laundry that will serve the entire complex. And it was, all the laundry as well for the existing jail will be done out here and then taken down to the jail. Next to that is G. G is the new housing unit we've talked about incorporating into this space, into the phase 2. So area G consists of 144 beds of dormitory, and then 96 beds of, is it 96? No, it's 112, and then 112 beds of double bunk cells. So that's what makes up that area G. So the nice thing about being able to do that now is some of your inmates could stay out here, and as Jeff mentioned, the low risk dormitory ones could be used to help run the laundry and the kitchen. That's what they do now in their existing jail. They would just be out here instead. And then you'd also have a fair number of double bunk cells, so you could keep some individuals out here instead of bringing them all downtown. So you could, start to reduce the number of, the size of the jail downtown, the number of inmates in it.
And what are U and W on the left?
U will be the future acute behavioral health space. So in the initial build, that will be a shell space, except for there's some large rooms kind of on the bottom side of U that are the mechanical and electrical rooms that serve area V. So you're getting you'll have some shell space in area U for now, and then that will be built into single acute cells when it's actually built out. And then the line that goes up to area T, which is the cup. So the cup consists of indoor, large mechanical space, and then it also has a fenced outdoor area for large pieces of equipment that will be outdoors. So this is just a very large, high ceiling space that has a lot of mechanical and electrical equipment in it, emergency generators, all kinds of things. And then that will have an underground piping that goes from area T, the cup, all the way down to U, and that is how we're getting all that stuff down to the new area that's being built first. W is the community services and release part of the intake booking area. So that is where those are housed, community services space, and then where people are, changed out, and then that's where they are released to the public.
And then the $174 million budget we just saw, that excludes G?
It does.
And then if we do G, help me get from 174 plus G to 215. What we're asking for.
So Flintco has worked with Stacy and worked on those numbers. So
Yeah, they priced the red, and we have that document for the basically 175 million, excluding G. Talking to their estimator, they think G might be around 30 million. So that gets you to 205. I don't want to go right up to the 215. I want to have a little bit of cushion on a job for the first time in 40 years.
Yeah, well, it seems like there's plenty of uses, but I mean, even going back to the earlier conversation about how do you make this transition plan actually work? I mean, as far as that sort of cushion of dollars, if there needed to be something go back into the existing facility, that would also be possible, right?
Oh, that'd be up to the commissioners.
Well, and maybe G is an adult that
we
can add or not, depending on where we land and what other needs we have. I agree. Have more cushion than you currently do.
Because no bids have been taken on this, right. So we're at that stage.
What I sense is maybe we're being asked to say the 174 plus G that takes us 205 plus 10 million left. Is that what you're asking for today?
No, I think if you're going to make a recommendation in the positive, we'd want a recommendation to sell all the bonds.
So it would include G.
Just sell them all, and the commissioners will figure out the alternates they want to fund or not fund.
Okay, thank you. In my distant memory, did we talk about that somewhere in this red area, we were going to go ahead and build out some beds for behavioral care issues, which I thought was you, but we're not?
We talked about that last time, and that would be in Area U. I think that the way it came back priced from Flintco is, we were trying. You don't really need those kinds of beds here because the medical is not here. So it probably makes more sense to build G right now instead of build out those acute behavioral health cells.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Those are all my questions. Other questions?
Without G, there's no min max. So, yeah, question I've been asked is, do we have the really bad guys here, or are they going to all be downtown? How do you think about that?
There's no single cells out here that will be here, other than the holding cells. There are holding cells that are single cells, but they will all be brought back downtown. They could, if they wanted to use a double bunk cell as a single cell. That's always an option. If from operationally, if that makes sense to keep some people here.
Does that answer change if you build G, or does it stay the same?
G is the only cells that we would have.
Okay.
Beds that
And
we
it
would
would
have.
not be intention to use those for the min max,
They could be.
the medium max.
They could be in the interim until the green part gets built. But the green part is where all the single cells are located in the new facility.
And if we go to this 2-page written presentation we have that we've seen, can we pull that up, please? We go to the very bottom. I'm hearing the beds under options are a maybe, and then the holding capacity above that is just seats and no beds we would be building. And if the transport van to take someone from here and intake back to the existing jail isn't until the next day, would they just sit in these seats?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what they do in all these facilities. They don't get a bed and they don't until they're done with their booking process. That's when they get assigned to a bed and taken to housing.
Okay, thank you.
To address that, the numbers that we've been seeing every day, they have about kind of changes, of course, on Friday and Saturday night, but they take in about 80 a day is the average. And if they run 2 vans a day, you won't have more than 40 people here at one time. So that's kind of the discussions that we've had at this point. But that's something important to remember, because people are going to start wondering, well, how many can they take on here? But at 80 a day, if they run 2 vans, it shouldn't be a strain on the system at all.
Other committee comments? Public comments? I see multiple commissioners' offices being represented. Any comments from anybody in the public? Okay. Is there a discussion or a motion?
I guess a question maybe to Stacy. If I was in support of this, what do we do to help you?
You would be in support of a phased approach, which we're calling phase two. Go ahead and break ground and build it by selling the remaining bonds that we have, the $215 million in bonds.
So moved.
Is there discussion?
Is that fair, Cassie?
Did you catch all that, Cassie?
Is there committee discussion? Any public thoughts? All right, Cassie, we have a motion to consider.
If you all could push your buttons for me, please.
My buttons have disappeared. I'm sorry.
Mr. Cooper, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. I think we're done with item 4. Any citizen participation? Board comments? Stacy, can you predict now, do we even need a September meeting?
I really can't predict that at
stay
this
tuned.
point.
All right, then I guess we're to a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I apologize. We do have new business on the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if we have any, but it is an item.
Any new business? Thank you, Cassie. If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Discussion, please vote. Very efficient. All right. Heather, how's your
Mr. Mize. Mr. Mize.